You walk into a room. You forget why. You say it out loud. Okay, what did I come in here for? Nobody is listening. Nobody is there. You do it anyway. Most people assume this is just a harmless habit, a quirk, a sign of a busy mind. But the real answer is far stranger. The voice you use when you think no one can hear you is one of the oldest tools your species ever built. It did not start as a quirk. It started as survival. Think about the last time you talked yourself through something. Maybe you were assembling furniture. Maybe you were parking a car in a tight spot. A little to the left. Okay, straighten out. You were not performing for an audience. You were running a program. And that program has a history that stretches back further than language itself. Here is the reframe. Your inner voice did not begin inside your head. It began outside it, in the mouths of the people who raised you. The Soviet psychologist Lev Vygotsky spent the early 20th century watching children solve puzzles, and he noticed something odd. Toddlers narrate everything. Put the block here. No, not there. They are not talking to anyone. They are talking to themselves, out loud, constantly. Vygotsky called this private speech, and he argued it was not babbling. It was thinking, just not yet hidden. Why would a child need to speak a thought instead of simply having it? Because thought is hard to control, and speech is not. A toddler's brain cannot yet hold a plan silently in place, so the plan gets pushed out through the mouth instead, where it becomes solid, audible, repeatable. The voice is a scaffold. It holds the thought up while the mind is still too young to hold it alone. And then, somewhere around age 7, something interesting happens. The scaffold goes inward. Vygotsky proposed that private speech does not disappear. It shrinks. It turns into a whisper, then into something with no sound at all, what researchers now call inner speech. You did not lose the habit of talking to yourself. You just learned to do it quietly, and you forgot it was ever spoken out loud in the first place. So that voice narrating your grocery list, your anxieties, your imaginary arguments at 3 in the morning is not separate from the child who used to announce every move out loud. It is the same mechanism, just turned down low. Modern researchers like Charles Fernyhough, who has spent years studying inner speech at Durham University, describe this internal voice as something built from conversation itself. You do not invent your inner voice from nothing. You inherit its shape from every person who ever spoke to you as a child, every instruction, every correction, every bedtime story. Your inner monologue is, in a strange sense, an echo of other people, replayed in your own voice. Pause on that for a second. The thoughts you consider most private, most uniquely yours, were shaped by speech you absorbed before you could even argue back. Is the voice in your head really yours? Or is it 1,000 borrowed voices compressed into one? Here is where the twist comes in, the part most people never expect. Talking to yourself out loud, the version adults are embarrassed by, the muttering, the narrating, actually makes you measurably better at certain tasks. A study led by cognitive scientist Gary Lupien tested something deceptively simple. Give people an object to find on a screen, sometimes mixed with similar-looking distractors. Some participants searched in silence, others said the object's name out loud while searching. The ones who spoke the name found the object faster. Saying banana while looking for a banana sharpened their visual search, almost as if the word itself helped drag the matching image up out of the noise. That should not make sense if speaking to yourself were just a meaningless habit. But it works because speech and perception are wired closer together than people assume. Saying a word activates the same mental representation that recognizing the object does. Speak the target, and you prime your own eyes to find it faster. The mutter is not noise. It is a search engine query, run through your own mouth. This explains why elite athletes talk to themselves mid-competition, why chess players whisper their own analysis, why people cooking a complicated recipe narrate every step under their breath. It is not a sign of struggling. It is often a sign of a brain using every available channel to stay locked onto a goal. But self-talk does something even stranger than sharpening focus. It can change your relationship with your own emotions. Psychologist Ethan Kross, who studies what he calls the inner chatter of the mind, found that the way you talk to yourself can shift how distressing an experience feels. In several studies, people who referred to themselves using their own name or the word you instead of I while working through a stressful situation showed calmer physiological responses and clearer thinking.